yeah, if you think you're going to do it in your own strength, then you know what? Yeah, you can do it.
COVID, it's been helping people move their businesses from offline or brick and mortar to online.
Systems are more important than skills as an entrepreneur today.
It's totally okay to reinvent yourself multiple times, especially when you're an entrepreneur.
Welcome to Profitable Coaching Conversations with Wendy Y. Bailey. If you're a coach, speaker, or industry expert, you're in the right place for sales and marketing wisdom and insight to grow your coaching business. Now, here's your host, Income Acceleration Mentor, Wendy Y. Bailey.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the show. As always, I'm really excited to bring another amazing guest to you. And this young lady is no different. You know, I'm not going to read her bio, but I want to tell you about her from my heart because I've known her. I know I've known her at least 12 years. We met in person several years ago when, NAMS was meeting, and she was there networking as I was there networking, and we had an opportunity to meet. We took a really great picture together, and we've been connected ever since. She is an amazing and powerhouse marketplace influencer that you really do need to know. I'm going to get her to tell a little bit more about what she's doing today because she's always doing great stuff. Kathleen Gage, welcome to the show.
Well, Wendy Y., thank you for saying young lady because I'm going to be 67 next month. So I'm kind of excited about that. And
you don't look it. Well, you don't look it.
And it hit me recently. I'm 3 years away from 70. It's like, oh my gosh, this is not what I thought it would be like. And that's kind of like business, quite seriously. Yeah. It's like when you're in the middle of things and let's say a pandemic hits, you go, this isn't what I thought it would be like. And so going back to 1994 is when I started my business. I had left a corporate job, and in 27 years, I've gone through many recreations, and I'm actually in another one as I move into my late 60s. I'm doing another recreation of my business, and what I'm really doing is changing markets dramatically. I've worked with general markets. I've worked with authors, speakers, coaches, the usual yada, yada, yada kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And now it's very niche down to working within the plant-based and vegan industries, primarily with startup companies that have equity funding and angel funding that are looking for visibility.
Wow, that's a different niche entirely. I mean, you're still using those same skills you have.
Absolutely.
But it's just so very specific. How did you decide to make the move?
Well, one is I changed my own eating. I'm a complete 100% vegan plant-based eater, and that was a game changer for me. And I did it for health initially a few years ago. It was in 2018, and I stayed for the animals, which I hear that a lot from people. It's like we come to this whole way of eating as a way to improve our health. And I had what a lot of people my age have, which is inflammation. All my research indicated if I got rid of dairy and animal-based products that I would feel better. Within a week I did. I started dropping weight. I was quite a few pounds heavier than I am right now. My energy went up, my focus went up, my clarity improved, all these amazing results. It was like a magic pill that I had taken, but it was in the form of food. And as I did my research, initially I didn't call myself plant-based, vegan. I didn't want to be a vegan because I thought they were crazy people. Now I proudly say I'm a vegan, And,
it's interesting how things change our minds, right?
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. So what I found is when the pandemic hit, as with many people, my business got impacted quite a bit. At one point, our revenues were down, I want to say between 70 and 80%. They hit rock bottom, and I was
Were you doing mostly speaking as a source of, those are the businesses that have been hardest hit by the pandemic.
I was doing speaking as paid speaking, but also speaking as a lead generator and a way to introduce my services. I did my own self-staged events where I would do 3-day events, and we would invest a lot of money putting those together. Well, when the pandemic hit, as you know, that was all over. And so once I got over the shock and kept trying to make it work and it just wasn't working, I stepped back, I got on the whiteboard and I started mapping things out. One thing led to another, and it made perfect sense for me to move my skill set and my experience into the plant-based market, because I'm very passionate about it, and I'm very passionate about raising awareness. And what's really interesting is it's one of the fastest growing industries out there. The plant-based and vegan market is, by 2027, it's going to be a $47 billion industry.
Wow. Isn't it nice to know that you're carving out a chunk for yourself now? You know?
Oh, it's exciting, because I actually, my lane, and I've really learned to stay in my lane through this whole pandemic thing, but my lane is primarily working in the podcast space of teaching experts how to get on podcasts and how to really do well on podcasts. And what I realize is there's a lot of startup companies that they have the funding and they don't have the visibility, and they don't have necessarily a team of people who know how to do this. So I've got a core group of collaborative partners that they might be in PR and have worked for the New York Times or for, People Magazine or whomever they worked for. And then I've got somebody who is a radio producer, a TV producer, and on and on. And we can bring this team together and work with a company at a very high level where each of us has our skill sets and we're all top of the game within our skill set.
Yeah, I love that. And the skills are so transferable to that particular niche, especially right now, where people are primarily still very virtual. So folks are online looking for great content. They're looking for, expertise. They're looking for it. So you're in a great position to do that. Who do you serve specifically in that plant-based niche or niche?
Well, I actually serve a few different types of people. Let's say that somebody is a consultant or a coach, a nutrition coach, and they want to get visibility. I can teach them how to use podcast shows, books, speaking to grow their market. Where I really am finding that I'm being drawn to, though, are the small businesses, or the startup businesses, I should say, that have equity funding. So they have 10, 20, $30 million that they've been given by an equity investor or by angel funding, and they really need to up their game with the visibility. Maybe they need somebody to work on their media outreach. Maybe they need to get on podcast shows. I don't work with people starting podcast shows per se. I mean, I've done it, but that's not really my sweet spot. It takes a lot, as you know, it takes a lot to keep a podcast show going. And so for the people that I'm working with, they're so busy, they don't have time to do a weekly show. What they do have time to do, though, is get on a 20-minute, a 30-minute show, share their message, not sell anything, but just bring value to the marketplace and educate people.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Congratulations on this newly defined niche for you. I know it's going to be amazing.
Having fun with it.
Yeah, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will do our profitable wisdom segment. Hi everyone, Wendy Y here, and I want to extend a personal invitation to you to join the Profitable Coaching Society. It's a growing community of more than 300 coaches, speakers, industry leaders, marketplace influencers, and emerging thought leaders who look, sound, and have businesses just like you. Over in the society, we are talking all things sales and marketing. We're talking personal development. We're talking professional development. And my goal in creating this community is to make sure you have a place where you can come and get sales and marketing support, coaching, tips, strategies, and you also have an opportunity to network with others in the community. So be sure to join me at profitablecoachingsociety.com. That's profitablecoachingsociety.com, and I'll see you over there. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Hey, this is Tanya Smith, and you're tuned into the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show with Wendy Y. Bailey. So make sure you like, subscribe, comment now so that you're notified when the next episode goes live.
Hi, I'm Laura E. West, a certified lipsologist, and you've tuned into the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show with Wendy Y. Bailey. Like, comment, review, and subscribe now, and you'll be notified when the next episode goes live.
Hi, I'm Rashonda Pratt, known online as The Rose Show Live, and you're tuned in to Profitable Coaching Conversations with Wendy Y. Bailey. Make sure to like, comment, review, subscribe, so you'll know when the next conversation goes live.
So welcome back. We've been talking with plant-based aficionado, and new podcast creator, supporter, trainer, teacher, and coach, Kathleen Gage. I said a mouthful there, but I want to make sure we get all of that in because you're doing some amazing work. You really are.
Thank you. I'm having fun with it.
Yeah, I can tell. So let's jump into our profitable wisdom segment. So the first question is, who has had the greatest influence on you in your life?
I would say the greatest influence in my life, and she's no longer with us, but my mother. And my mother was very understated in her power. And you would not know that she was a powerhouse woman in her own right. Mm-hmm. But she actually was in Belgium during the war. She was a teenager. Mm-hmm. And the things that she taught me about integrity, honesty, and standing up for what's right, they're lessons that have stayed with me for a long, long time. And my mother was actually very much an introvert, didn't like to be around people a lot. She had a problem with drinking. That's one of the reasons that she became very ill towards the end. And so in many ways, you would look at her and say, well, she had no power. And yet there was just an essence about her that she taught me some very important lessons in life.
Yeah. Awesome. That's great. And what's the best business advice you've ever received?
Oh, the best business advice that I've ever received is to be completely transparent, to be who I really am. And I had a coach a few years ago, that very, very high level coach. I was involved in a mastermind with some pretty big name people. And it was during that time that she actually encouraged me to, I have a wife. I've been with my wife for 31 years, and she's the one who encouraged me to basically come out to my market. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that because I'm going to probably lose people if I do. And she goes, you will. And she goes, but you also will attract the people who want to do business with you because of who you are, not who they think you are. And I remember the day I sent out the message, she said, I want you to put in the subject line, I'm coming out. And then when people open the message, say, no, I already did that years ago. What I'm coming out with is a new consulting package. And I remember the day as if it was yesterday. And I remember the hesitation I had and the fear I had. And I kept ready to hit that go button. And finally, I just pressed it, enter, the message went out. And within a very short period of time, I had a lot of unsubscribes. It was kind of shocking, actually. Then within a very short period of time, I got messages from people saying, thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you, because maybe they had somebody in their family that was struggling with identity, and maybe they had somebody who committed suicide, whatever it was. And that really changed the trajectory of my business.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how people want to judge whatever is going on with someone else. And my son and I have these conversations often. He's 31 and we're really close. And it's sort of who tells people they have the authority to scrutinize anything, to judge anything someone else does? I think that social media has opened the door for that. So I just want to say to you, I remember when you sent that email, and I was delighted to see it. And you know, I'm like, you are who you are. You love who you are. It doesn't change the fact that you're an amazing person.
Thank you. So well, and what's interesting, Wendy Y, is that a lot of people judge me more for being vegan than they do for the fact that I have a wife. I mean, it's crazy. It's like the stuff I get for being a vegan. It's like they say you're radical, you're crazy. It's like, oh, it's radical that I love animals. Okay.
But you know, it's funny. We were talking, I don't think we said this when the recording was going, but we were talking beforehand, and you were like, you were the person who was going, I'll never be that. And I don't think I could ever do that. And you love chicken wings. So how did you make that shift? You said earlier that it was health related. You said that as you went down the rabbit hole, you got more interested, but you're like full on, this is a niche for you. This is a place where you are building your business going forward.
Well, and that is such a great question because when I initially started, again, it was for health, and I had no intention of turning this into my business. As a matter of fact, I avoided that for a long time, and I was doing my blog and my podcast show and my Facebook group, and I wasn't going to monetize it. And when the pandemic hit, it made perfect sense to do that because the more I learned about factory farming, for example, how animals are treated, and not just the animal aspect, but the disease aspect, and that a lot of the pandemic problems we have are directly related to animal-based products, wet markets, things of that nature. So as I learned more, and I realized that this market is emerging. It's a huge, huge emerging market. And I realized there was a need for my skill set within that market because I actually, I was 66 at the time when I got my certification through Cornell University to be a plant-based nutritionist. And because I thought, well, maybe I should do that. And then I realized that's not my passion. I don't want to coach people on their eating. I can talk to them about it, but that's not my passion. My passion, I've gotten so clear on it, is marketing, promotions, visibility, and really helping people to come out of their own closet, if you will, get out of their own way and stand proud in what they represent and what they stand for.
Yeah, good job. Good job. What's been your largest single sale in your business? What was the amount, the circumstances, and how did you celebrate?
Well, the largest single sale was a year-long coaching program for $29,000, but I presented it at an event, and I think we sold 8 or 9 units, so it came to about $250,000. So in that particular day, and it was right before the pandemic hit, and it was like I'm on a roll, and we figured the next time it would be $500,000 and then $1 million. And I mean, I had all these great plans.
Sure.
And you know how what God says about our plans? Well, God laughs at our plans while we're trying to make them. But it was so interesting because it was like I really worked hard to do that. There was a lot of work that went into it. When people hear these big numbers, they go, "Oh, you're so lucky." And luck really is not the magic formula.
It's strategy, it's planning, it's
Exactly. So what I've realized is I have that opportunity moving forward. And a lot of what I've done during the pandemic is I actually pulled out a lot of my products and services and I've retooled them, and I created some programs that I call pandemic pricing, where I kept the pricing really low because I wanted to be able to serve the market and still generate some revenue, but I didn't want to put a burden or a barrier to entry for people who really needed that information.
Yeah, very good. Did you celebrate?
Yes. As a matter of fact, Karen and I, we took a few days off. We went to the coast and had a really nice celebration. And, I celebrate life almost every day, but, I think there are those milestones where we say, okay, this is what we're doing to really celebrate whatever it may be, whether it be a victory in business, a victory in our health, a victory. When I finished a marathon, I was 60 on my first marathon, and I was the last one in. I hold that distinction. But I celebrated that because I think it's important for us to stop, pause, and really look at what we've accomplished, and not to be boastful, but just to say, I worked for that. I worked hard for that.
Yeah. You want to hear my secret?
Absolutely.
I celebrate new clients and new successes by buying a pair of glasses. Wow. I collect them, so I wear a collection. Yeah. I started it about 1.5 years ago.
That is really a great idea.
Yeah, I really put it in high gear in the fall of 2020. So I have about 15 pair now.
That is such a great idea to have that one thing. And so for me, it would be books because I love books. And I actually, when business slowed down, I made a conscious effort to slow down on buying books for a while. Yeah. And I mean, it's interesting because just recently I realized that when the pandemic hit and things went upside down, I actually started moving into some lack mentality. And I'm just coming to terms with that to realize my thinking helped to create more of that. And it was like, wait a minute, step back and be generous with the gifts that you've been given. And I think oftentimes what we do is we contract and we're so afraid that there's not going to be enough, because at one point, due to drugs and alcohol, I ended up on the streets in my 20s. And so I know what it's like to not have. And yet I also know that that was my doing. It wasn't because of the way I was raised. It wasn't because of anything anybody did. It was the choices I made on a daily basis. So I think it's important for us to look at when we go into contraction, what's that really about? And to really, I think for me, having a trust in God is a very important thing.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that, because the thing that, like you, I realize, and this is sort of rewinding and, circling the wagons and pulling it all together, is that if you're in a situation where you are able to celebrate, you're able to acknowledge a success, an accomplishment, it's something that you should do no matter how small or how large, if you're able to. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And the fact that you did the personal foundation work, that's what I call it, personal foundation work, when you saw that glimpse of the lack, says a lot, because most people don't do that, but the type of work we're in, the personal foundation is necessary.
It so is. And especially if we're going to be coaching and consulting with other people, we have to work on ourselves. And the old adage of the plumber who has a broken toilet doesn't fly. It's like you can use all the excuses in the world, but the reality is we have to be, this is my personal belief, this is what works for me, and this is what I work with my clients on. It's about being accountable and having integrity in the way that you conduct your life. And I heard many years ago, what you do in private, you will be rewarded for or punished in public. So it's really looking at what are the behaviors. What you do in private, you will be rewarded for or punished in public. And I only heard the rewarded for, but then I added the punished too, because if we have certain behaviors and we don't honor those, it's certain behaviors that work against us, and we don't honor that fact, and we do those behaviors privately, it's going to come out somewhere in public. And whether it be, we like to think of ourselves as kind, loving people, but then we're at the grocery store and somebody cuts in front of us in the line and we get really upset with them.
Yeah.
That's not being.
That's not in alignment.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So we all have times as entrepreneurs, and I'm sure you have in your years of being in business, where we thought or think of giving up. What has helped you move through those situations? And the one that comes to mind, you've mentioned a couple of times, your business almost stopped by like 70% of your business when the pandemic and the shutdown happened. So what did you do to move through that, to stay the course? Part of it, I know, was you had just made this huge sale, at this event, but people think that's the end all be all, that took care of it, but it doesn't. So tell us about what you do or what you did.
Well, first I cry, I make sure,
Release,
I have to honor that. I have to honor that because I think sometimes we can believe our own press and believe that we're all that, and we think, we're not supposed to feel the negative feelings, we're not supposed to feel down, we're not supposed to feel fearful. And the reality is those are human emotions, and if we don't have some kind of a positive outlet for that can really cause problems. And so for me, I oftentimes will look back to where I was when I hit bottom around drinking. And I mean, it was a hard bottom. And a lot of people don't even believe that could have been the way that I lived. And I've been sober for 37 years. So it was a hard road that I traveled. And I look at that and I say, but for the grace of God, there go I. And so I think for me, it's turning to God, turning to a higher power. That's a really important thing for me in my life. Another thing is it happened at 9/11, it happened in 2008, and it happened again with the pandemic, is stepping back and saying, okay, what am I being taught here? What is the lesson I need to learn? And applying the things that I claim to be true. And so one of the things is I step back and I regroup, and I have a good circle of friends that we all have gone through it. And so I can tap into my friendships and my collaborative partners and say, okay, this is what I'm going through. Help me out here. Another thing that really helps is having a mastermind group to be a part of. I belong to a couple of mastermind groups, and those are so important. So important, because and to have people that you can trust with your soul. where you can share what you're going through, the fears you're going through, so that you can at least hear whatever the stories are that you might be telling yourself that may not be true, that it's just something that you automatically say. So I think a lot of it has to do with the support system, having mastermind groups, looking at the successes that you've had in the past, because in this last year, I've gone through many periods where I've said, okay, what are the times when I hit a wall, literally hit a wall? And then what was the strategy that I used to pull myself out of it? And also it's about serving the market, because one of the things that I know is I've been gifted with the ability to run a successful business. I've been gifted with the ability to influence people. And the market that I'm working with now, there is a need. There's a huge need. It's a need.
They haven't had that experience. Yeah.
Yeah. There's some really, really amazing people within that industry, but there's the whole health issue. There's the animal issue. There's the environmental issue. Mm-hmm. And things are on pretty rocky ground right now with so many things. And it's about people not denying what the truth is.
Yeah. And preparing themselves for it, or getting ahead of it in some way using preventative measures.
And if I may, I'd like to add one thing to that. Sure. I think that these periods also give us an opportunity to look at our priorities and look at what the truth is about what we thought we needed. Mm-hmm. I know that there was a period in my life where it was all about bigger, better, more, bigger, better, more. And I used to teach classes on how to be a multiple six-figure entrepreneur, which I think is great. I mean, trust me, I like money because I like what money can do for me. But I also realized this was the opportunity to step back and say, are those things, is all the glitz and glamour really that important? And what I realize is what's important is my relationship, my animals, making sure they're fed and taken care of, my home, my mother-in-law, who she lives on our property. So we make sure that she always, has what she needs. Mm-hmm. My friends, those are the important things when you strip it all away.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great way of looking at life in a holistic way. Mm-hmm. It really,
absolutely,
really is.
Absolutely.
You mentioned it, so I want to, kind of knock on the door and have you open it. You said you love your animals. Can you talk a little bit about what kind of animals you have? Because I know you've got a lot.
I'd love to. We do a lot of rescue, and we live out in a rural community, so animals kind of show up on our property. But right now we have 3 horses, we have 2 chickens, we have a rooster, we have 2 dogs, and we have a cat. Over the years, we've had many, many, many animals. Yeah. And we just, our door is open to them. And I think the hardest part about having animals is when they get older and they're going to leave. And we have a pit bull right now that's at that point. But we like to do animal rescue, and we're kind of at our max right now. But we also, like Karen, she goes on horse rescues, and there were huge fires.
Rescues. Who knew?
Oh, I'll tell you, that's another. Oh, that would be a topic for a whole nother day on how abused many horses are. It's crazy. But like when there were fires or floods, that's an opportunity to go and help people make sure their animals are safe, because a lot of people won't leave a property if their animal isn't taken care of. So if they know there's somebody coming to get whether it be a chicken, whether it be a dog, a cat, if they know that, especially elderly people, you want to make sure they know that their loved one, their animal, is going to be taken care of. So we've gotten involved in a lot of animal rescue.
Very cool. Very, very cool. So the last question is, what is your greatest personal accomplishment outside of your business?
My greatest personal accomplishment, I want to say there's actually 2. One is, oh gosh, now I'm thinking of 3, but I'm going to scrap the first 2, and I'm going to say when my mom was sick and I was her caretaker, and I would drive from Oregon to California whenever I needed to, and I would stay with her for weeks on end, and I actually ran my business by her hospital bedside. And it was during that period that I was generating 6 figures from a $27 a month membership program. And I think, God just shined on me and said, okay, you're doing what you need to do. Let me take care of you. And so it was really about trusting, but being there for my mom and literally being there until her last breath. And that, to me, it's a gift that I feel I was given to have that opportunity to bless her. Yeah.
Yeah. And the second one?
The second one would be getting sober. It was because I was a daily drinker. I was a blackout drinker. I was on a road to nowhere. And if I didn't wake up on a certain day, that would have been fine with me. I just didn't want to be around. And the fact that I had the opportunity to turn my life around and had no idea what was in store for me. And so for me, that keeps me humble and keeps me in a place of daily gratitude of like, thank you, God. Thank you that I made it out of that.
Yeah. Fantastic. Fantastic. So we're going to take a break. And when we come back, Kathleen will share her parting thought. We'll be right back. Hi everyone, Wendy Y here, and I want to extend a personal invitation to you to join the Profitable Coaching Society. It's a growing community of more than 300 coaches, speakers, industry leaders, marketplace influencers, and emerging thought leaders who look, sound, and have businesses just like you. Over in the society, we are talking all things sales and marketing. We're talking personal development. We're talking professional development. And my goal in creating this community is to make sure you have a place where you can come and get sales and marketing support, coaching, tips, strategies, and you also have an opportunity to network with others in the community. So be sure to join me at profitablecoachingsociety.com. That's profitablecoachingsociety.com, and I'll see you over there. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Hello, I'm Rhonda Height, and you are tuned in to the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show with Wendy Y. Bailey. Like, comment, review, and subscribe now so that you are notified when the next episode goes live.
Hey there, I'm Ty Goodwin, and you're tuned in to the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show with Wendy Y. Bailey. Like, comment, review, and subscribe now so you're notified when the next episode goes live.
Hi, this is Kathleen Gage, and you are tuned in to the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show with Wendy Y. Bailey. What I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and subscribe, like, review, and do whatever you need to do to get informed of the next episode going live.
So welcome back again. We've had the most delightful conversation, Kathleen Gage and I hope you'll be able to catch most of it. I know that if there's one thing that you want our audience to walk away with, you know what it is. What is that, Kathleen?
Oh, I love that question. And the one thing I would say to walk away with is gratitude. And because no matter what's happening, if you have gratitude, things work out. Yeah. And I do a daily gratitude practice where I write down at least 10 things in the morning, 10 things at night. And it's a part of my daily life. So gratitude.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. Very nice. And I know you have a gift that you want to share. Can you tell us about it?
You bet. It's called the podcast interview checklist. And basically it teaches you step by step how to go out and find great podcast opportunities. And I will tell you right now, getting on podcast shows is one of the best things that you can do for your visibility, for your credibility, and for your influence. So I would invite you to get this free gift, and well, that's kind of an oxymoron. Get the gift and enjoy it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here. It's always been a delight chatting with you, being in conversation, being in community with you. So thank you for being here.
And thank you. I so appreciate the opportunity to speak with you.
Awesome. So we'll see you next time on another episode of the Profitable Coaching Conversation Show with Wendy Y. Bailey. Be sure to join the after party at profitablecoachingsociety.com. See you there. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for tuning into Profitable Coaching Conversations with Wendy Y. Bailey. Be sure to join us at the after party at www.profitablecoachingsociety.com. We'll see you next time for more sales and marketing wisdom and insight from Wendy Y. and her amazing guests. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you know when new episodes are posted.